Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is John Viglotti. On behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you joined us for the Precious Metals and Critical Materials Conference. Our next live presentation is from EnviroGold Global. Please note you can submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Scheduled Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome our next presenter. He's David Cam, Chief Executive Officer, Founder, and Executive Director of EnviroGold Global Limited, which trades on the OTCQB venture market under the symbol ESGLF and on the CSE under the symbol NVRO. Welcome, David.
Thank you, John, and hi everybody. Thank you for joining us and to learn a little bit about EnviroGold Global. We are a technology company. We provide technology to the mining sector that delivers on two promises. Firstly, we allow miners to remediate or improve their hazardous waste material, their toxic tailings dams and back of mine waste. And in so doing, we also allow them to improve their ESG scores, their social license, but we do this economically. We are able to extract up to 97% of the value of metals locked up in tailings dams that hasn't been recovered through previous mining processes. So the twofold benefits of EnviroGold is one, the environmental remediation benefits that are outstanding, and also the economic benefits that we provide to the miners. The addressable market for EnviroGold is over 18,000 tailings dams worldwide, many of which are abandoned. They're in communities, they're owned by governments, but they're a problem and a disaster waiting to happen. But fortunately, through mining practices of old, recovery rates weren't as good as they are today. There is significant value locked up in tailings dams, and we'll talk through that during this presentation. But the benefits really to the miners, to the community, and to EnviroGold and its investors are significant. What's keeping miners awake at night more and more so is the liabilities that are attached to their mining waste. Mining's an amazing business and we all need it, but the byproduct of mining can be hazardous and needs management. And there's examples recently where BHP has paid $25 billion in damages, and there's a class action against them. And there's tailings dams failures more regularly now that just need to be managed. What we do in our process is convert the hazardous waste in the tailings to benign, dry stackable material. That's a process, and the miner can choose how far they want to address the hazardous waste, and whether they want to go to dry stack tailings to free up more tailings dam space or not, or whether they just want to recover the precious metal values and deal with the tailings another time. The EnviroGold process is metal agnostic. We recover whatever metals are in the tailings dam, whether it's precious metals, copper, lead, zinc, rare earths, strategic metals and others. We will take them all out into a concentrate that can be sold to the metal producers or sold back to or processed by the mining company themselves. The benefits of the process compared to other contemporary tailings processing methods is that we have a lower cost base. There's no need for high pressure, high temperature or oxygenation, which is a step change to current methodologies. That means our OPEX is considerably lower. We make tailings treatment now economically viable, where previously it's been a juggle between whether it's viable or not, whether there's pressure from the community to reprocess tailings or not. But this is a win-win for the miners and the environment and communities. One of the key benefits we believe of our technology is that dry stacking tailings means the problem's resolved. You don't need to keep tailings underwater in perpetuity to stop the acid mine drainage potential. We reduce that by up to 90%. Therefore, miners who have real estate issues with having enough tailings dam capacity or hazardous materials in their tailings dams, they can dry stack them, return them to nature, plant trees or whatever it is, and then free up existing tailings facilities for further mine expansion. All of this plays very nicely into the hands of the sustainability issues that the world is now addressing. This process allows miners to improve their ESG score, reduce their average weighted cost of capital, and essentially align them with the carbon commitments that the world is committing to for 2050, etc. And this aligns perfectly with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So it's a strategic initiative that is being well received by the UN and miners together. In terms of competition or other technologies in the marketplace, we're a better mousetrap. There are ways to process tailings. You can use roasters, there's nitrogen or nitrox processes, and there's others out there which require significant heat, significant pressure, the addition of oxygen to enable the process. What we've developed is a simplified process that doesn't require any of those inputs, but delivers a better outcome, and it can do that more cost effectively than the competition. Our technology is backed by 22 patents, another 2 pending, and 3 designs. So we've built a moat around our IP that provides a barrier to entry to others who want to move into our space, and gives us quite a significant first mover advantage against other potential competitors in the market. Beyond the current NVRO process, specific for sulfidic tailings, we do have a suite of other technologies on the shelf for iron beneficiation, for nickel recovery, for other rare earth technologies, which we'll develop and unlock over the next year or so. But for now, our very clear focus is on the 18,000 tailings dams around the world that fit our profile and are highly valuable to the miners. So our process is very simple, and the piece of technology that we adopt or have developed fits nicely into a fairly standard EnviroGold or mining process flow diagram. This is a very simplified model, and all of the boxes on here are off-the-shelf standard technology, except for the leach piece, the second box in. That's where our secret sauce unlocks the value, chemically alters the sulfide tailings into a benign material, and therefore exposes all the metals to contemporary cyanidation or other processes to monetize them. So in terms of execution, it's very simple. It's a closed loop system. All the catalysts are recycled back into the leach tank, and that accelerates, continues the exothermic reaction, and reduces the OPEX and CAPEX in the process. So it's a very elegant solution to a current technology problem that we've developed. Our process is all about execution with our customers. We're trying to fast track implementation on site. We have a significant number of customers in our pipeline, which we'll talk about, but essentially, rather than developing a bespoke implementation engineering per mine site, we are developing a 500 tonne per day modular unit. And these can be scaled depending how much daily production the mine is after. They can have 1 or 5 of them. They can be in parallel, and that gives you redundancy, brings down the costs, because we can build these in a process type situation and have them ready available for deployment, rather than the years of engineering and design that would be typically required for a mining plant. So by definition then, the operations are scalable, they're cost effective, and it's quick to deploy. We achieve very high metal recovery rates, and as I mentioned, deliver dry stackable tailings. The benefits to the miner, if we think about that for a moment, if we're looking at 2 gram per tonne tailings, that's quite low compared to some we have on our horizon. but the value in 2 gram tailings would be $115 of metal recovery. And if you look at take off the cost of production, it's a net $59 upside to the miner per tonne of in situ tailings, and that's sort of the bottom line base case. There are opportunities to improve this if the miner wishes to recover metals, partly reduce the environmental liability, but deal with that another day. They can increase that net benefit quite significantly up to over $100 a tonne. We have some customers that have over $400 a tonne in situ value, so there's potentially a $300 a tonne net upside for reprocessing their tailings and reducing the environmental liability. So that the total addressable market is, as I mentioned earlier, over 18,000 tailings dams, of which 14,500 or thereabouts are abandoned in the government hands, superfund sites, etc. And we're engaging with many companies and governments around the world looking to address these situations, particularly where there's economic amounts of metal that we can recover and pay for the remediation. The total value in tailings dams today is over $3.4 trillion and growing at about $20 billion annually. So the market for us and the first mover advantage we have puts us in a very unique position to crystallize the value in tailings and obviously improve the dividend paying ability of our company and grow the market globally. Of our top 11 customers, we have 25 approximately in the pipeline, but these are an indication of the values of the customers that we're speaking to. There's over $100 billion of value here for the miners, unlocking the value in the tailings over the life of the mine, and a $5 billion revenue opportunity for EnviroGold with just these customers alone. They're owned by the top 5 or 6 mining companies in the world. This is only a very small sample of the types of opportunities that are in front of us that we're executing on today. So our process for execution is very simple. It's streamlined. We go through a desktop analysis initially with some internal test work, some benchtop modelling, and then we test the customer tailings through our laboratory and then through our commercial scale demonstration plant, which fast tracks feasibility for the customer and go, no-go decisions. And then the engineering piece is very streamlined because we're building one size fits all 500-tonne plant. So this process is between 6 and 12 months end to end, depending on the customer and location and approval processes, but that's several years shorter than any other sort of new mining operation or some of the competitor technology that needs to be developed. This is our demonstration plant. It's located in Perth, Western Australia, a very significant global mining hub. And we bought this from the Australian federal government. It was a research plant developed for a nickel project. It's one of one in the world. It's highly engineered. It's all stainless steel. And we use this plant as our stage 4 commercialization with our customers. They send us between 30 and 100 tonnes of their tailings. We process through the plant, provide independent validation of the recoveries, the environmental benefits, the economics, and provide them the license for deployment on their site. A full-scale one of these units runs to about 400 square metres in terms of footprint, and as I said, that's a 500-tonne module. The acquisition of this plant is really the key next step for EnviroGold. We've spent 4 years developing the technology. It's been validated many times independently at pilot scale and at lab scale. Now this key piece that we've just purchased and only just recently commissioned, we have our first 100 tonnes of tailings arriving imminently, and that's for our first customer. We'll process these, provide the report, and sign our first contract in the coming months. So over the past 4 years, the company has essentially been in R&D mode. We started in 2020. I founded the business as a private company. We listed it on the Canadian Stock Exchange and the OTCQB, and have spent up until earlier this year just in R&D, developing a suite of technologies that are robust, defensible, protected by patents and other IP, and really started engaging with customers in the market from about April this year on. We've made significant progress, and in the rest of this year we'll be processing tailings through our plant in Perth, and next year is all about engagement, strategic relationships, and getting to first contracts. The team that run the business, obviously myself, my chemist Brock Hill, he and I have been working together for over a decade. This is the second time we've commercialised, can I say, novel technology. Really, it's not so novel. It's a lockstep improvement on current technology, so it's a better mousetrap. We've done it before. This is our second time, focused on the mining sector, and was supported by a very strong team of COO, a commercial director who came from one of the metal trading houses recently, and a strong tech team and laboratory based in Australia. So we're a very tightly focused, small team, moving out of technology development into commercialization. The next steps for EnviroGold through next year, and potentially the end of this year, which is coming to a close very quickly, and the way we unlock value is with a strategic partner. We are a technology-focused company. By definition, our execution ability is somewhat limited. We're not 1,000 people. We don't aspire to be 1,000 people running mine sites all around the world, but we do aspire to black boxing the technology, owning it, operating it through a strategic partner, and delivering a turnkey solution to our customers. We're right now negotiating strategic relationships. They will be pivotal in our future growth and our acceleration to market, and really gives us shoulders to stand on with strong brands, strong operational credibility, strong balance sheets. So really the next key step for EnviroGold is to do what we do really well, and that's to deliver a technology solution to a very broad mining problem, but do that with strategic alliances and partners, which we hope to be talking to the market about in the coming weeks and month or so. So that is our presentation. Thank you for listening. I'll be happy to take any questions that anyone may like to put forward. There's some great questions here. Thank you. Can you speak to your value proposition to miners, cost savings, improved process versus traditional methods? That's a great question. Mostly with mining companies, their focus is on front-end mining operations, and rightly so. That's where the money is for them, and the waste is exactly that. They've used their processes to recover as much metal as they can, and they put them into a tailings dam or storage facility for dealing with later. Often that includes having significant balance sheet liabilities, director liabilities, social liabilities, but those tailings just sit there. Mining practices of years gone by haven't been so good as today, so thankfully there's trillions of dollars of value in those tailings dams, and that really is the catalyst for us to provide a fully funded solution to remediate the environment, to take the balance sheet liabilities off, and in most cases, the highly profitable solution for the miners. So that is our value proposition. How does that compare against competing technologies? Roasting, which is basically a large oven, the energy costs are prohibitive. Permitting these days is almost impossible in many countries. So roasting is almost off the table. There's a couple of other processes out there, as I alluded to earlier. There's a nitrox process. Our technology is essentially replacing the input of oxygen, which every other technology requires at high cost and high capex. We replace that with a chemical solution that we recycle and regenerate. So our secret sauce is really to bring down the operational cost by developing a better chemistry solution, which is borne out time and time again. Another question here, how scalable is the NVRO process and what's the timeline for reaching commercial scale operations at key sites? Well, we're building 500-ton plants. These are by definition in a box or several boxes. They can be delivered quite quickly. There's no bespoke engineering on site. We need a slab, we need access to power and water and the tailings, and we can be installing, subject to permitting, much quicker than setting up bespoke engineering, developing, designing a plant and going through that process. So we've commenced the engineering. We are engaged with several customers. We hope to be executing contracts in the coming months, particularly in relation to a strategic relationship we're developing, and that will accelerate our access to market, access to decision makers, and the strength and credibility to build, own and operate these plants. Another question here, can you discuss your revenue model? Do you share any revenue streams from recovered metals? We are not a mining company. We don't wish to be a mining company, nor have the issues that mining companies deal with. What we wish to be is a technology provider to miners, delivering the benefits that we've talked about. So our revenue model is a license fee. We charge for the use of our technology for the life of the mine, with a formula that we're not a royalty taker, but you could equate it to a royalty type model. It's very attractive, but because we're delivering technology, the bottom line free cash flow to us is significant. Having once developed it, the rest now is kind of keep clipping the ticket. So that's the model. We intend to become a dividend paying technology company as soon as we can. And as I said, we're looking to engage with these companies contract-wise in the coming months. Do we share any revenue streams from recovered metals? No. We don't own the metals. We don't buy the metals. We can introduce metal trading houses or offtake partners that will take the metals. We supply a concentrate. We're not pouring gold bars or any other metal bars. We provide a metal-rich concentrate, in fact, 3 of them. And there's various buyers for those which we can introduce, but we are simply a licensor of technology, and our strategic partner will own and operate the plant. So end-to-end solution within our sphere of influence, we will own and operate and license the technology, but the operations piece is with our partner and not necessarily us. Another question, has EnviroGold been in discussions with Cerro de Pasco Resources in Peru? Yes, I can leave it there. Yes, we are. Thank you for that question. There's another couple of questions here. I think of... so the last question I've got here is, how scalable is the process and what's our timeline for commercial operations? I'd like to talk about that a little bit. And I guess the key point is the addressable market is thousands of tailings dams worldwide. We're targeting North America, in other words, Canada, United States, Mexico, all 3 we have customer relationships. There's significant opportunities in South America, Africa, and of course, Asia Pacific. So the key for us is we're a small company, we're technology focused. From an execution point of view, back to our strategic partner, they're giving us the arms and legs and sort of operational credibility to take this global rapidly. We can deploy, we've been through our demonstration plant. I think we've built the model that we can deploy with customers rapidly. They send us tailings, we provide reports, they send us 100 tons, we provide a feasibility. Really, that can be done in a matter of months, accelerating their decision-making and their operational success. So really, for us, it's about banking our first customer in the coming months, which is a significant customer, developing our strategic alliances, and then scaling the business rapidly, leveraging their influence, their Rolodex, their current customer base, along with our technical credibility and our demonstration plant. So I think together it makes a really strong relationship that we can develop and execute quickly. And I think 25 and 26, we expect to sign several customers all on very attractive revenue models, license models, and grow the company strategically. We are thinking about cross-listing on other exchanges. That's some announcements that will be coming out very soon. Essentially, just to grow the value, expose the company to a broader base of shareholders around the world, and develop our strategic relationships. Last question, how much of the material do you restore? I think, let me try and answer that question this way. We process tailings, and depending on the metal, we can recover up to 97% of the value. If it's precious metals, 90 to 97, copper, zinc, 85 to 90, lead's a bit lower. So we get sort of in the 90th percentile for most metals, and reduce the acid mine drainage potential, the sulfidic nature of the tailings, by up to 90%. We have one more question here. What is your capital structure? When do we expect revenue to start, and do we need to raise capital in 2025? The capital structure is we've got a very we're tidying up our balance sheet. We have some capital. We're going to raise some more capital shortly. We've got very strong strategic partner interest, so I think that'll resolve those questions. We will be tidying up our balance sheet. We'll be thinking about the amount of shares on issue and thinking about how do we improve our shareholder value. We're getting advice on that at the moment. So we're intently focused on shareholder returns, tidying up our capital structure, ensuring that we've got a clean balance sheet as we move forward, and obviously getting the revenue as soon as we possibly can. And one more question, they're coming in thick and fast. What kind of recovery do we get for rare earths? Great question. Without knowing the mineralogy of the tailings that they're in, which is obviously the key issue, better than 80%. Work we've done in the past has been better than 90%, but it does come down to what's the host material that the rare earths are in. If it was coal tailings, then 90 to 95%. But it does depend on the material that the tailings, that the rare earths or any other metal is situated in. So thank you for your time. Thank you for hearing the EnviroGold story. There'll be more coming out in the coming weeks and months. Stay tuned, put us on your screen, and keep an eye on the company, and I think you'll